Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me on the Rays. I have not made many videos lately because I have not felt that there was too much to talk about even after TGS. But needless to say, there has been some things worth talking about, and I think it has to do with War of the Visions. War of the Visions is a game that I've been anticipating for a little bit for a mobile game, as well as another mobile game that was basically in the Super Robot Wars series, a strategy series that is quite near and dear to my heart as a fan of mecha anime and just a lot of different mecha and the idea of just being able to command a lot of those mecha. I'm a big fan of that kind of genre and the strategy genre, so War of the Visions, which is basically like a Final Fantasy Tactics, which will have Final Fantasy characters from other series, is basically kind of just something that I've been looking forward to for a while, but the closer that we seem to get to a release date that has not been announced yet, the more worried I am for War of the Visions. War of the Visions is already not looking to be the most promising thing, and it's quite a thing when your game is based on not a actual release date, but a specific number of pre-registrations for a mobile game. And what do I mean exactly by that? Well, I've talked about it before, but basically on the War of the Visions website, they've had a pre-registration campaign going for at least a couple of months now. It feels like it's more been like 8 months if you've been kind of, anticipating this game, and the end reward is one of your favorite Final Fantasy characters. Yeah, it does seem like a really bad thing. But War of the Visions has shown off in at least 2 official trailers now, as well as a whole bunch of little promotional videos that are really seem to be only gaining any traction on their Twitter account. I'm not even I'm not joking about it. Those videos just don't seem to be circulating around the websites, gaming websites, and probably for, fairly good reason. As if you take a look at, if you're familiar with the game that it is based on, as we see more and more content coming out in terms of promotional videos and trailers, we're starting to notice that War of the Visions is extremely like Alchemist Code. And while I've never played Alchemist Code, I know people who have, and they have said too that it is a little bit terrible in terms of potentially the number of copies of a unit you need, as well as the amount of just not just even copies, but just the difficulty ramps up so much later on that it kind of depends on you spending money, is the way that I have heard it is put. Of course, some people out there, free-to-players, probably can get by, and obviously War of the Visions could be one way or another. But it seems like Gummy and Alum have kind of worn out all of their goodwill in terms of Brave Exvius. And that is kind of another talking point in this video. Brave Exvius on the JP side is doing nothing to help the promotion of War of the Visions. And there we go. That bugs me a little bit less now. But for anybody who has not been keeping up with it, and probably this is a lot of global players, on the JP side recently, Alum decided to essentially put out a Final Fantasy XI raid, which has a new version of Shantoto, which has the CG, which of course the CG looks cool, but blah blah blah. We've seen this before, and CGs are nothing special at this point. And the other character is Lizette, who is, strangely enough, not a Fest character. Great, Lizette's a pretty cool character. From what I got to, experience with her because of her original appearance in Dissidia Opera Omnia, I kind of ended up liking the character, so it's cool to see that she was chosen to be a 5/7 star and a support/buffer, like a support buffer attacker, I believe is her class. Whereas Shantoto's a limit burst crystal using mage with a unique chain family. But let's not harp on that too much, because that's not what this video is about. The point is that in this new raid, they've taken away regular tickets out of it and put in gift tickets only. The only thing that I am going to say right now is this is the moment on JP that everyone should stop spending money on JP. I'm not joking. I can't support it anymore. I can't even just go on the grounds of being like, well, if you enjoy it so much and you like the game, then who am I to say? This is an absolute shit move by Alum. They'll get backlash from it from whatever remaining player base there is at this point, and promise they'll never do it again. But this is the cycle of Alum and Gummy, of consistently giving out, a moment of positivity to their communities and then slapping them across the face in whatever way they can find. I hate it. I hate the company as a whole. I think it's terrible. I think that it's insatiable greed for no particular reason. The brand name should be in itself strong enough. But for anybody who's wondering why I'm incredibly worried about War of the Visions potentially dying on release date or quickly after release date, I mean, it's not just the potential that it is going to be the Alchemist code with Final Fantasy characters, that it will be expensive, that it will be way too difficult, that it won't be fun, that it will just be incredibly frustrating. The list goes on and on. But it's the fact that Square Enix is literally tying their pride into the launch of this game, and probably to detriment of themselves. For one thing, over time, as more products come out, the interest in this game is dropping, and probably dropping quite a bit quicker. While there are 500,000 pre-orders is what they want, currently, for about a month now, I do believe they've been over 400,000, and TGS apparently was not enough of a boost. The biggest gaming show in Tokyo that has a lot of video gamers' attention, that had 262,000 attendees come to TGS, did not boost this thing over the 100,000 that it needed to get its last milestone. And that's the thing. Square Enix does not, I feel like, or Alum does not want to, or Gummy, sorry. I know Alum's not as invested, but since Alum's basically part of Gummy, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that Square Enix is very much tying their pride to this game of being like, we need to be able to get 500,000. If we can't finish the campaign, it is going to look bad. It is going to look bad on the Final Fantasy brand, a brand that, by the way, has been incredibly popular lately, ever since Final Fantasy VII Remake has shown up. And while the FF8 remaster was not exactly the best remaster that has ever existed on the planet, a lot of people are having fun with it. And that shows strength in the brand name. So there is a lot to be said about the power of Final Fantasy as a brand. And to that extent, Opera Omnia is doing, I think, fine. I haven't heard any complaints about it. Hell, Dissidia NT, something that constant nerds on video game forums will say, oh, lol, this game's so dead, there's no one online. It is making still a good amount of money in Japan, whether it's from the arcades or the PS4 version. It is making enough money that the game is continuing to output DLC characters. That's the strength of the Final Fantasy brand. Even something that a ton of people don't like is still making a lot of money. So why can War of the Visions not hit that goal? Maybe it's a mobile game. Maybe Square Enix is just not that popular anymore. And I would say that that would be a possibility, except this news story broke basically not too long ago, the fact that Dragon Quest Walk, the new Dragon Quest mobile game from Square Enix, has passed 5 million downloads in 1 week. There is literally, to my knowledge, no reason that it's obviously not a Square Enix brand thing. The Final Fantasy brand as a brand is doing perfectly fine, despite how much people like to say that 13 and 15 have killed off the series. It clearly hasn't. 14 is doing really well for subscribers and putting out content, and there is confidence in the Final Fantasy brand by Square Enix and Square Enix executives. Obviously not perfect. We've had some people leave. But anyway, the point is that it's not mobile. Mobile is still incredibly popular in Japan. When I was out this weekend, I saw a good 20 people playing Dragon Quest Walk. And the reason is because I'm always looking and seeing, oh, it's the Pokemon screen. And then I realized it's not. It's actually Dragon Quest, which is a great sign. Dragon Quest is going to be doing great work. And it does show that there is interest. I think that at this point, there has to be something that is keeping War of the Visions from getting the prerequisite numbers. Because if Dragon Quest can hit 5 million in 1 week, War of the Visions should have been able to hit 500,000 in approximately 3 months. So what's going on? There has to be something. Is it Square Enix? Well, we've kind of ruled that out. Square Enix seems to be fine as a brand. Is it the Final Fantasy brand? No. Is it tactical games? Are tactical games dead? Possibly, but they still seem fairly popular. So what is it? Probably Gummy and Alum. Gummy and Alum have done a lot of damage to themselves as a company for the dumb shit that they've done to their fans over the years. And whoever was playing Brave Exvius, well, still playing Brave Exvius, has probably signed up for War of Visions out of curiosity or interest. For people who are not interested in, or who quit Brave Exvius, probably a lot of them don't want to play this game anymore. And the longer that War of the Visions just doesn't release, I think the more tired people are going to get, especially because War of the Visions doesn't stand a great chance into the winter. Into the winter, we start having massive amounts of game releases. If you take a look at the Switch alone for the month of September, there's been Link's Awakening, which is a $60 game that probably necessarily isn't worth the price, but we're not here to talk about that. That's subjective, and I've been enjoying the game, so that kind of just says that quality trumps price sometimes, or enjoyment is personal and subjective. Either way. There's Ori and the Blind Forest coming out for the Switch, which isn't a new game, but it's pretty cool that it's coming out portable. There's Ys 9 coming out in Japan, and getting into October, November, and December, there's going to be a ton of games coming to the market, and Dragon Quest seems to have already came out and taken potentially a lot of the business, because these games start to take a massive amount of space on your phone, and if you have music or videos on there already, you don't necessarily have space to include this as well. So what's the breaking point for this? It's just, I think, War of the Visions, the longer it takes to just put itself out there, the more damage it's going to be done, unless Square Enix is going to put it out sometime in the next year before Final Fantasy VII Remake, but that's so far out that I don't feel like it. And then the other reason that I think that it could be put out literally tomorrow is because they've done live streams where they've shown the game running, and the game looks to be running perfectly fine. It's also just a reskinned version of Alchemist Code. So it's done. It's essentially done, but whatever, they're waiting on that pre-registration number. And the longer it waits, the busier the game year gets, the more people have already spent money, the more people just don't want to do it because they potentially already have another game. Epic 7 is launching in Japan in possibly a month's time or before the end of the year. So there's just so much competition. I feel like this is a bad sign. War of the Vision cannot get 500,000 pre-registrations in Japan when other Square Enix games can. What else? It's just not getting the attention. Its Twitter account isn't having that many retweets, not having that many likes on its tweets. The media campaign seems to be stalled and just kind of lackluster because we still don't have a release date. If there was a time to also announce a release date, it would have been at TGS when everybody was kind of watching. But TGS is come and gone now, and I feel like War of the Visions will be buried. But there is 2 points to this video. One, I think that War of the Visions is already in an incredibly big amount of trouble. I don't know if it will really have that longevity of life, nor that it necessarily should. If it's as bad as it potentially sounds, it probably is worth avoiding like the plague. As for Brave Exvius on the JP side, this shouldn't be news to anybody who's currently playing the JP. The only person that I still know who is spending money is Deus. And Deus, buddy, I heard that you stopped spending, and I really hope that you do, because this is the point where on the JP side where you just stop spending any money on that game. That game is literally, I feel like, seconds away from dying. So yeah, just don't spend, let it die. It's okay. There are other games out there that you can go play, like Dragon Quest 1. Though I think you need a VPN to do it. It'll probably come, North America sometime next year. I don't know for sure. I'm not the biggest Dragon Quest fan. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care.